It is the beginning of November 2020, and it's already kicking off to quite a tense month because of the election stuff. So I'm going to take a little break and we're going to do our monthly update video in which I'll talk about what went on in October, quite a lot, and what we've got coming up in November, which is a little bit less, but also still quite a lot of interesting stuff. So I always like to begin by talking about three big things. Big thing number one is October was, a major month for things Stoicism related. I was in several different Stoicon X's as well as organizing the Stoicon X Midwest. So there's a lot of videos that I'm linking to below that you can watch from all of those events. Big thing number two, we've got coming up this month. At the very end of the month, we're going to be going back into Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea, but now we're going beyond the trilogy to the next three books in the series that round it out and really add a lot to that world. Big thing number three, we've got our classic metal class coming up a little bit later this month, and this time we are going to be talking about the new wave of British heavy metal, one of the really major movements that put it on, the genre back on the map, you could say. So I hope you can join me for that classic metal class in 2 Saturdays. Okay, so what went on in the month of October? As I mentioned, there was a lot of Stoic-related stuff. We had Stoic Week. We had the main Stoicon. I actually spoke at 2 different Stoicon X's, in addition to organizing the big Stoicon X Midwest here, sited in Milwaukee, but covering all those places. There's videos that you can watch of all of those down below. I also did, along with Scott Terulli, my collaborator, the classic metal class, and we tackled an interesting ethical problem that arises about the ethics of doing farewell tours and it not being a farewell tour. I did my normal AMA, that's Ask Me Anything session. I also did a political theory and practice discussion focused on what Stoicism has to tell us about politics. And then I did my usual, Hegel Q&A and discussion sessions, both the public one and the one for Patreon supporters. We had our Worlds of Speculative Fiction series ongoing events with focusing on Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea trilogy, which of course expanded to be 6 books later on. We only focused on the first 3. And we had a really great Wisdom for Life radio show session. We weren't able to get as many in as we normally do, in part because of illness on the part of myself and my co-host. But we did have one session where we had a special guest, Michael DeVito, former defensive lineman, coming in. We discussed rational sportsmanship and fandom and stuff like that. So that's well worth checking out as well. This is a very busy part of the semester as far as classes go, midterms, students panicking about how they're doing or how they're not doing, being told by their advisors to get in touch with all of their professors. Lots and lots of content developed on my part. I probably shot over 100 course videos between world religions, biomedical ethics, business ethics, and a few things for the existentialism class. I also did shoot a lot of other videos. So there's the event videos that you can check out, but there were also core concept videos on Miguel de Unamuno, Leo Shestov, and Franz Kafka. I did an unboxing video about, stuff for our cat, Sassy, and I did a few answers to common questions videos and at least one Sadler stories. I'm not sure if I did 1 or 2 of those. Podcasting, some of you may have been following on my SoundCloud, what's been recently there. We started the month with releasing the last of the A.J. Ayer content on Language, Truth, and Logic. Then we jumped into Augustine for most of the month and did stuff coming from City of God and from On Free Choice of the Will. And then we've been releasing stuff on John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism over about the last week or so. So that's what's been going on this last month, what we've got coming up. We have quite a few events coming up in November, not quite so much as in October. And frankly, I need to take a bit of a break between the grueling teaching schedule, the election, all the Stoic related stuff, and, doing all this while being sick from time to time. I'm really looking forward to Thanksgiving break. So we're going to start out with a lot of events in the early part of the month, and then as we get towards the later part of the month, we have a few less. The very first Saturday, that's Saturday the 7th at 12 p.m., AMA session, Ask Me Anything. You can come in and ask me all sorts of questions, and I'll respond to them. On the 7th as well, we're going to have our philosophy chat for Patreon supporters. That's a perk for people who support at a certain level. That'll be at 2 p.m. And then at 4 p.m., another Wisdom for Life episode. You can listen to Wisdom for Life 4 p.m. Central every Saturday. It may be a new episode or it may be a replay of an older episode, depending on what Dan and my schedule looks like. But we are recording something new, responding to all the election stuff. So if you're interested in that, you might want to check that out. We'll also be talking about how to keep yourself sane during this time. Then the next day at the 8th, that is, at 12 p.m., I'll have my political theory and practice discussion. I will be talking about what to make of this election. And I'll do a little bit of a presentation, and then I take audience questions and comments and address and answer those. On the 10th at 6 p.m., we have our MKE SOPHIA meeting. This is open because we're online to people outside of Milwaukee, of course. We've had people coming as far away as Brazil. And we're going to be talking about resilience, which may also be useful given the results of the election. On the 11th at 5 p.m., I'll be having my public Hegel Q&A and discussion. That's underwritten by my Patreon supporters, but you don't have to be a Patreon supporter to show up and talk about Hegel, German idealism, philosophy. I do that as sort of a public service. On the 14th, that's the second Saturday at 12 p.m., Scott Terulli and I will be having our next session of the classic metal class, and we're going to be talking about, we'll probably devote more than one session to this, but we're going to be talking about the new wave of British heavy metal. So if you aren't familiar with it, that's bands like Iron Maiden, Saxon, Diamond Head, Venom, Raven, all these great bands that were so massively influential, and we're gonna talk quite a bit about that. Then on the 19th, I'm not quite sure if we're going to be doing anything for Sophia. That depends on my co-organizers, but it is World Philosophy Day, so there's probably going to be something interesting going on. I might do a little, event of my own, just get on YouTube and let people ask questions. On Saturday, the 28th, we're going to have two events going on. So earlier in the day, we'll have at 12 o'clock and at 1:30 the Worlds of Speculative Fiction series discussion. Now, I give you two times for that because the first time is actually a video premiere of me, discussing the ins and outs of books 4, 5, and 6 of the Earthsea series. And you can engage in live chat, and I'll, chat back with you on that as you're watching that video for the very first time. You can be the first people to watch it and to comment on it. Then at 1:30, we have a Zoom discussion, so video conferencing, much more intimate. That's for people who want to have, more discussion about these great novels and short stories that she created in the whole world. Then a little bit later that day, on the 28th at 6 p.m., we'll be having the Milwaukee Stoic Fellowship monthly meeting, which we're discussing Antonio Maccaro's great book on Buddhism and Stoicism. You don't have to be from Milwaukee to join us with that. Again, we have people from all over the place who, because we're online, join up with us, and that is going to be quite interesting as well. So that finishes out the month's events. What do we have going on in terms of videos? Well, I still have one more Kafka video to release. I'm going to be releasing some videos on Marcel. That's Gabriel Marcel and his On the Ontological Mystery. I shot some new videos from my existentialism class. I have to shoot some videos on Simone de Beauvoir, on the ethics of ambiguity, so you'll see those coming out. And then I'm hoping to get to the videos on Albert Camus. I have some more stuff on Myth of Sisyphus to shoot as well. I'll also be doing, the personally oriented Sadler stories. I'll do some more of the answers to common questions about Stoicism. Hoping to get some half-hour Hegel videos shot now that things are starting to settle down a bit as far as the semester goes, and we've got a nice break coming up. And some book review videos. I'm really behind on book reviews, and I'm going to be shooting some of those as well. And then finally, there'll be videos from the various events, like the Classic Metal class, the Earthsea, as I mentioned, and of course the AMA and political theory and discussion. As far as the podcast goes, I've still got some Mill utilitarianism stuff to release. After that, I will probably be working on some de Beauvoir things from the Second Sex. And I also have some stuff from Hegel, the self-consciousness section, that I'd like to turn into podcasts as well. So that is what is going on the rest of this month of November. Going to be, pretty busy month, but also a time to start winding down as we get closer to the end of the year. So I hope you can join me at some of these events.